see how it performs. We are running 23 lands, or 24 if you count the Dryad Arbor, so I'm not too afraid of not hitting our land drops in the early game, especially with the double forest, double plains. I'm pretty happy in game one to pretty much just rely off a basic mana base, and then maybe go for a black source if we really need Abrupt Decay or Plague Engineer. And then just a Sylvan Library and Green Suns to bring together the consistency of the deck. There's cards in this list that we can't find with Green Suns, so I'm most likely going to be using Sylvan Library to aggressively find the Plague Engineers, the Abrupt Decays, the Swords to Plowshares, with the help of fetches and looking at new cards each time. So ramming up over Batterskull, yeah, I think ramming up over Batterskull is a great choice if you want to play it in the deck. But I am pretty keen to see how Batterskull performs, and if it is a bit of a stretch to only be playing 2 Stoneforge Mystic with the Batterskull. I don't think it is, but I think it's definitely worth testing. To the sideboard, for removal, we have 2 Path to Exiles and Council's Judgment. I only have a singles Council's Judgment because the majority of threats that we want to be answering with Council's Judgment, we can destroy with either Abrupt Decay or kill with Plague Engineer. So Council's Judgment really there for Jace. That's the big card that I want to deal with. Everything else, like True Name, can be dealt with Plague Engineer. Abrupt Decay can deal with equipment. Back to basics, a few different sort of threats against the deck, especially with Maverick having so many non-basic lands these days. For Graveyard Hate, I have the 2 Surgicals and 2 Faerie Macabres. I've switched it up because I want to play around Cabal Therapy, and they're both good in different situations. So Surgical is really good when you want to take a whole sort of strategy out of a deck. So taking out the Loams, the Punishing Fires of lands, taking out Grizzlebrands, or the dredges of a dredge matchup. But Faerie Macabre is really nice against some of the decks that are kind of relying on spot removal, so still great against Reanimator and hitting targets. One advantage of Faerie Macabre over Surgical is if you're a Reanimator player has multiple targets in the bin for Exhume, Faerie Macabre can get them both, but Surgical can usually only get one. So looking forward to how they go as my graveyard choices. 2 Chokes are back in the board, mainly for Miracles, Blue-White Stoneblade, the Delver decks, Thoughtseize for combo and control, really good against Miracles, especially if we're wanting to take things like Supreme Verdict or Swords to Plowshares. And then just my one-ofs in Collector Ouphe, Sanctum Prelate and Palace Jailer. Jailer against the mid-range decks and also the creature decks. Prelate mainly for Miracles, but also for combo decks. And then Collector Ouphe for any Karn decks. I don't mind bringing in against Death and Taxes. It does slow down our Stoneforge plan, but if we've got to the stage where we're getting Collector Ouphe on board, it's most likely shutting down a lot more of their spells than ours. So it's kind of a trade-off that I'm pretty happy for. But that's pretty much the deck tech. Super keen to see how this deck performs. It's really nice to not have to think about Ren, which is really nice. So that should be pretty good. Are you expecting such an uptick in decks with X1s that you're playing 2 Engineers main? I can see just testing it to see how it goes, but I'm a bit skeptic. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because I think that with a lot of the players bringing in decks that Ren was cutting out, I think there's probably going to be more decks that sort of hedge against those. So let's say, Maverick sees an uptick where there are a number of X1s. You might actually see more Miracles or Grixis Control than you will see Maverick decks. So it's going to be interesting. I think that Plague Engineer has a bit of play against everything. Even if it isn't doing too much work, the Death Touch really helps. So against decks that go wide, like Young Pyromancer decks, or even an Unanswered Mentor against Miracles, Plague Engineer really helps with sort of wiping the board and not allowing your opponents to go wide, because I think that's one of the reasons Maverick can lose to a deck, is that it aggressively goes wide and around our 2 or 3 threats. So Plague Engineer in the main is definitely a meta call, but it's kind of it's interesting because the meta is unknown. So it's really just a hedge to see if it works, and if not, then I definitely see them going to the board, and most likely something like the Prelate and the Jailer coming in instead. So we'll see how they go. Hopefully, Of course, if you are after any of these cards for online, you can get them off Card Hoarder, who is a sponsor of the channel. They sponsor myself and allow me to get any cards that I want for this deck ad hoc, which is really nice. And then also mtgmate.com.au, which is an Australian online retailer. They sell Magic singles. They will be at Magic Fest Brisbane in a few weeks, which should be pretty sweet. Hopefully, if there's anyone in chat or on YouTube where this will go, is at Magic Fest Brisbane, definitely come say hey. That is it. That's my spiel. Let's get into a league and see how we go. Ask for Alex actually just took Maverick to a first place finish at a big tournament in Europe, which is really cool. And there will be a tournament report coming out on the Green Sun Zenith in the not too distant future, which is really cool. So definitely check out for that if you're a Magic fan. We have game 1, which is really nice. I'd love to play first. And sadly it's a no-lander, so it's exactly how we don't want to start, because even if this Birds of Paradise was a land, it would be very keepable. Having the acceleration Noble Hierarch, the Knight against fair decks, Thalia against unfair decks, Mother of Runes for protection, Source Plowshares for removal, and Green Suns for flexibility. This hand's pretty perfect outside of having no land drop, so we'll definitely mulligan this. And this hand's still fine. I'm pretty happy just going with dropping. Probably this is an interesting one. So the Noble is more aggressive with Exalted, but Birds might come up later on that I might need a flyer. But I think this is fine. We're going to keep it. And I'm actually just going to drop probably one of the Mana Dorks. I kind of want to keep my lands. This Nurturing Peatland is most likely going to get cycled, and the Wasteland hopefully has a hit. So I'm going to drop the Bird and just go with Noble Pass. Yeah, I think Maverick has a lot of hands that definitely look like cube draft hands, which is pretty funny. Especially with the amount of silver bullets you can have in the deck, that can just happen sometimes. So this looks like a Dark Depths deck. So Screws is going to be relevant, most likely if they're playing Loam. The Wasteland's also going to be really nice. So sadly, Thoughtseize there most likely shows that they're going to be a green-black mid-range deck. So green-black depths. So I think here I'm actually happy just playing the Nurturing Peatland and then passing back. Another Noble. So that's not too bad. We get to play the Peatland. I'm then happy to play the other Noble, and then just pass turn with Peatland up. Wasteland, interesting. So they're not going to attack. We'll definitely use this Peatland here. Pridemage is interesting. Swords is actually a pretty nice pickup. I'm not going to Swords right now because I know that they can use Reclaimer. So what I might do is... This is interesting. So if I play the Wasteland, they can Wasteland me and still have 2 mana floating for Reclaimer. If I play Wasteland and Wasteland their Wasteland, they can just sack it to Reclaimer. If I Swords first, they can go and get Steppy, which is pretty annoying. So I think I might even just play out Qasali Pridemage. Hey, Small Sura. A huge thank you for the 3 months. That is very cool. Yeah, I don't like wastelanding them because then they can just sack it to Reclaimer. I'm probably more happy just playing this Verdant Catacombs and actually just holding up Swords to Plowshares for now. So I'm actually happy to attack for 3 here and then just hold up Swords. I'm gonna block first. Interesting. So I might see what they get first. Because I don't want to give them the information that I'm actually using Swords of Plowshares here. Just a snow-covered... Interesting. I'm still happy to Swords in here. Most likely off just a Scrubland. I guess my opponent could have Crop Rotation, but even if they're using a Crop Rotation just to save their Reclaimer, I'm not too sad about that. And there's the Crop Rotation, so a little bit of a win here, especially if they're actually getting rid of their second Black Source, which is nice. Hey, Rafiq, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. What you play in Legacy, if you play Legacy. What your local scene's like. You're from Germany, playing Legacy since '95. Very cool. What was your first deck in Legacy? Or Type 1.5 back then, I assume? So getting the snow-covered swamp there is pretty interesting because it means that they obviously want access to double black, which might give away that they have something like Hexmage in hand. Ah, thank you very much. Zoo's very cool. Zoo back in the day is the type of magic that I like. Very fair, very creature-based, just a lot of damage. That's gonna be fine. Sure. Knight's a pretty fantastic draw. So here I'm pretty happy just going with Knight first. I can probably hold up the Wasteland. I don't really need to use it aggressively here. I guess because we have the Knight down, I'm probably less inclined to actually not use the Wasteland here. We can play around Elvish Reclaimer, we can play around Crop Rotation right now, so I don't mind going after their mana. And then just getting in a nice 2 here. But it's always interesting because Wasteland's a great card in the matchup, and to have one defensively the whole time is really nice. It definitely keeps my opponent off going for it, but if this Nut of the Reliquary sticks for one more turn, then it's going to be pretty nice to sort of rely on. And this Elvish Reclaimer now doesn't really have a great attack either, so... Green Suns. Green Suns most likely just gets another Knight here. Looking at our deck list, could get something like Scryb Ranger if we really wanted to, but I think just going for another Knight is probably the best play. I'm actually going to do it after combat just to see how they block. Yeah, Keeping the Mana is definitely very good. Even though it's not sort of a main color within their list, being white, the land to Reclaimer is just such a good resource. that allowing them to untap and actually use it as a land to sack to Reclaimer just kind of feels like you're wasting the Wasteland as well if you don't do anything straight away. So we'll see what Bob hits. The deck definitely has a low curve. And actually hitting Dark Confidant is probably one of their higher curve threats. Maybe if they're running some sort of 3-drop in the main deck, but they're most likely not. Looks like that is conceding. So this is going to be pretty interesting. The parts are great. The Collector Ouphe isn't really where we want to be. It turns off Mox Diamond, but I'd much rather have my my Stoneforge Mystic package online. I think getting above 20 life is really important. Palace Jailer seems great. Surgical is interesting. I'm not too sure if it's worth it. I don't mind Council's Judgment as just a 1-for-1 removal spell, even if it's against something like a Bob. I think we can take out easily 3 Thalia and a Gaddock Teeg and be pretty happy with what we have left. So the Stoneforge Mystic is fine. The Stoneforge Mystic package is fine. The creatures we have left is pretty good. They could be running Knight, but it looks like just a green-black version, especially if they're running Dark Confidants. It's most likely going to be just green-black depths, and not sort of the green-white variant with the Green Sun Zenith package that we've sort of come to know as Ren's shaped the format. But no longer. So I think this is fine. There is an argument for trying to surgical Dark Depths to answer the first one, but then just know it's not in the deck for the latter. But I'm pretty happy just going along with this route. Prelate's nice on 1 or 2, but because all our removal is also really good, I'm not that keen on bringing in Prelate. Yeah, we have a pretty good plan against this deck, so I'm pretty happy with just the 4 cards coming in and out. We're definitely going to mulligan this. We don't have an answer to actually a way to cast anything, and this hand's actually not too bad. So we have removal Impart to Exile. Double Mum isn't too bad, especially if we get a flyer down, and the Batterskull is a pretty easy drop. So I'm going to keep this and drop the Batterskull. Hey, you can link for sure. 100%. Needle, okay. We do have Qasali Pridemage and Abrupt Decay to get rid of the needle, so not too much of an issue right now. But a Reclaimer as well is a pretty nice turn for my opponent, so we do draw Green Suns. Pretty happy with Mum this turn. I don't really want to get rid of the Reclaimer right now. I could do it in their upkeep, but I'd rather have this as just an answer to Maritlage. So I'm going to play Mum and pass. Oko and Geese in a green-white? Interesting. I've seen a few people going for some sort of Bant list. I saw that Max from Min-Max blog was actually building a Bant list that looked really cool. So it was playing 4 Noble Hierarchs, 4 Birds of Paradise. It might have been 2 Birds of Paradise, 2 Gilded Goose, 4 True Name, 3 Oko, 2 Jace, Daze Force, Stoneforge Mystic package. It was pretty good. I got destroyed by Oko. Yeah, Oko can be really tough. We don't really have great answers. Karakas is a nice draw there. I kind of want to keep Karakas around for now because of the Ghost Quarter, so I'm just going to play the Wasteland out and then play the second Mum. The one good thing about Ghost Quarter is that if they Ghost Quarter our Karakas, we can get a green source and then hopefully get a Scryb Ranger, which is pretty good with the Mother of Runes against a Maritlage. It's interesting that actually named Windswept Heath with the second Pithing Needle, even though I don't have Windswept Heath on field or in my hand. However, I did have Mother of Runes in play, so they've obviously chosen to go for a mana denial strategy over just trying to go for what's on board, which is pretty interesting. They've also got rid of the Ghost Quarter, so now that now Karakas is looking pretty good. Yeah, it's fair enough. They might be playing Plague Engineer, so maybe not worrying about Mother if they can answer it another way. Green Suns, we'll play this and then just pass back. Karakas is going to be interesting for my opponent to play around. They didn't do anything, so I wonder if they have more than one Ghost Quarter to get rid of Karakas, or if they have to do something like go and get a another Pithing Needle somehow. Triple Lance is really nice. The Wasteland is named by Pithing Needle, but the Karakas and the Path are going to be doing a lot this game. No hope ball. I'm just going to pass back here. Do they have another Ghost Quarter? Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of want to get to a stage where I can go after this Reclaimer with Path, but I also don't want to tap out of a Palace Jailer, of course, if we draw into a land next turn. Yeah, definitely. I kind of feel like that was a throwaway when you definitely have answers on board that you kind of want to name. I can definitely see my opponent thinking, oh, that's interesting. I think here we kind of have to use the Path. So I want to use the Path here on the Reclaimer, because there's no way that I'm drawing into a land and playing this Palace Jailer and tapping out with Dark Depths on board, so I'm just going to use the Path here. There's definitely a side of me that also wants to Path my own creature, just to get a forest in play, so that it turns on all these. I think hitting the Reclaim is not that great because they can actually just sack for Steppy, so I'm actually just going to go after my own mum here. So, a little counterintuitive. I could have given my other mum pro green as well, but I think they're not going to be attacking most likely. And now Thoughtseize resolves. Most likely taking Jailer now, because if we draw into a land, we can play Jailer and also hold up Karakas. The Tomb means they also have Dark Depths online right now, even without the Mox Diamond. So not the greatest 2-for-1ing myself, but to have access to green no matter what, even if we don't draw a green source here, which we do, which is really nice. So here I can actually go and get Knight of the Reliquary with Green Suns, which is pretty nice. I'm also going to get a Bayou, so I have black mana. Getting a Bayou as well because it adds green for Scavenging Ooze, which might come into consideration. No use of the reclaim is interesting. Even though there's not a specific target, maybe they're like... Maybe you even just want to cycle through an Urborg. Safekeeper's pretty good. Safekeeper means we definitely have to go get Scryb Ranger next turn. Alright. Stoneforge. Interesting. So we do still have access to Cradle as well. I wonder if we can do all of it. So if we can play Stoneforge... I mean, it's pretty close. Maybe if we play the Noble Hierarch as well. If we play the Noble Hierarch and Stoneforge, we then don't have an extra mana. Oh, we do for Green Suns, but we can't attack, yeah. We can't get Scryb Ranger and also attack with Stoneforge Mystic. So that's going to be fine. Let's go for... Let's Green Suns first. They also have access to Steppy. Let's definitely know about that. So now I definitely have to attack. So now because they have step next turn, they can attack through through Scryb Ranger. So maybe that changes things. We could get Scavenging Ooze, but we can only eat one creature, taking us to 20. If we get Qasali Pridemage, we can blow up something, but that's not great. I think we still go for Scryb Ranger. We can then... Oh no, that works out actually perfectly. Oh, so close. Because the Elvish Reclaim is so big. So we can't even, we can get Scryb Ranger, play Stoneforge Mystic, get Umezawa's Jitte, get Cradle, tap it for 4 mana, play Umezawa's Jitte. I guess we can actually gain life, which is relevant. So maybe, okay, let's go for Scryb Ranger. Let's then... go for Stoneforge Mystic. Trigger. We can now get Jitte. We can now sack... It doesn't really matter. I'm going to sack the plain. No, I'm going to sack the forest. That's definitely a reason to keep the forest around. Cradle. Add 2. Sorry, add 4. Play Jitte. We can use Scryb Ranger's ability here, because we have to attack with either the Mum or the Knight. We have to attack with the Knight, really. So we can equip to the Knight. We can untap the Knight, returning the Bayou. We can give Pro Black to keep it, and then attack for 4. I should have definitely sacked the plains instead of the forest, because then we can use the forest in their turn with Scryb Ranger, but now we can't. Pro Black. Oh, we can play the Bayou. Interesting. So really, I could have played the Noble Hierarch as well to actually get in for more. That's pretty rough. Because we drew the Stoneforge for a turn, so we haven't played a land yet. So what we want to do is most likely get rid of the Sylvan Safekeeper. No, actually, we have to gain life. But I guess we can try, because it means our opponent still has access to 2 mana no matter what. If we use one counter to gain 2 life and go to 21, we then have 1 left over to either go to 23 or kill the Sylvan Safekeeper to make them sack a land. But even then, next turn they can still use the Urborg and the Mox Diamond to go and get Steppy. They're actually going to block. Interesting. They're going to double block. Okay. Well, we definitely get rid of the Elvish Reclaimer. It's the Reclaimer we care about more. This is definitely a reason to play the Bayou first and the Noble. Now we get 2 counters. Hey, Policia de Kaiser. I definitely didn't say your name right. I apologize. But thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. What you play in Legacy, if you play Legacy. There's a land. There's Noble Hierarch. Now we can just double ping the Sylvan Safekeeper. That doesn't save us from either a crop rotation off the top or Steppy. So we definitely have to gain 2 life. And then I think we just use Sylvan Safekeeper's ability here. Do we make them sack, or do we keep up 2? I guess if we Jitte it now, we definitely force them to sack a land, which isn't too bad. I don't see it coming up. Yeah, I think this is the best play. There's a sack, okay. I'm going to let him draw. I'm going to see if they attack first, and if we can block with the Ranger and then go to untap the Mum. I don't mind that. If I wanted to play around like Abrupt Decay, I guess I could untap the Mum in upkeep. So this is pretty sweet. So we get to go to block with Ranger, and then before damage, untap Mum, returning Bayou. Looks like they might have drawn Abrupt Decay. Yeah, definitely. I didn't know that we had, Oh, interesting. They do have the Abrupt Decay. I even spoke about playing around this. That's gonna be fine. The block happens. And now we gotta go full beatdown. What do we draw? Verdant. So let's go... Equip. Attack. I guess I should have attacked with the Noble and then pre-combat actually equip the Jitte to the Stoneforge as a defensive mechanism. I guess we still have Dryad Arbor. I'm just gonna pass back. No. Yeah, so let's just work this out. So if we go neg 1, neg 1. They can sack in response, and then I guess it's worth using it again. Oh, of course we can kill the Lage here, because now they try to save the save the Safekeeper, so now we can use it again. And now if they try to save it, we can get rid of the Lage. They have no cards in hand, so that actually works out really well. I had tunnel vision there for a second where I was just trying to kill the Lage. Sorry, kill the Safekeeper, but of course that works out really well for us. Apologies. We get there. Haha, we get there. So when I start going up against Green-Black Depths, which I think is definitely a deck that's going to be a pretty big force for the next couple of weeks at least. Definitely gets better without Wrens getting back Wastelands every turn. Yeah, no, that's very true. I wonder if they play, because that actually, I can Karakas in the next upkeep, but that does give them the out if they play Rite of Consumption to attack in for 20 and then deal the extra 1 with a Rite of Consumption. Yeah, even if they named like Mother of Runes. Karakas is definitely a great play, but we didn't draw it for a little while, so but yeah, I think naming Wasteland and Karakas is pretty good there. Oh yeah, you can Karakas in the upkeep, of course. Huh. But yeah, Green-Black Depths is a very cool deck. A deck that I have in paper, that I might be playing at an up-and-coming tournament in Brisbane, Jack. But yeah, I think Maverick definitely has the tools to beat Green-Black Depths pretty well. The Wasteland strategy is really nice. Finding them with Knights really good. We definitely grind a lot better. The removal is also pretty good, so although Swords to Plowshares does gain my opponent a few extra turns of taking a beat down and getting their combo back online, it's it's not the slowest win after a Swords when we have a 10-10 Knight or something like that. So game 1, pretty good, pretty nice. It's just a great feeling not to even think about Wrenn anymore. Because it was tough, especially if you're in the blinds and you're keeping your hand with, 2 mana dorks and maybe 1 or 2 lands. You definitely don't want to come up against a card that can kind of rip open your mana plan of trying to get out some advantage early on. This wasn't a feel-good card. It just was not a feel-good card, especially as a big fan of Fair Magic. It was pretty rough. Hey Baha, welcome to the stream. What have you been up to, Mark? What are you looking to play in Legacy now that Wrenn 6 has been banned? I know that you're a big fan of Nick Fit, and I know that last year you said that you were going to put, or wanting to put a lot of time and effort into the deck. And I'm wondering if that is that time now. Soul Herder, interesting. Yeah. Balancina and Boba does play Maverick. I believe they definitely play a few decks, because when I reached out to them and said, you've got a really good record of a few 5-0s with Maverick, he was like, yeah, it's one of the decks that I play. Yogg Fit? Very cool. Very cool. Hey, Slith, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. This hand's pretty sweet. I'm going to keep it. No mana accelerants right now, but a bunch of cards that are great against multiple decks. Probably not the greatest hand for something like Combo or Miracles, but it definitely has some game to it. Our opponent's actually mulligan down to 4, which is pretty bad. So hopefully they get a pretty nice 4, yeah, it's never great to see your opponent mulligan. You're from Canada. I play a bit of everything, but mostly Miracles, D&T, and Blue Red Delver. Very cool. I'm actually looking to come to Canada at the end of next year for a holiday for about 4 weeks. So going all around. So hopefully Banff, Calgary, Vancouver, of course. I think there might be a face-to-face games legacy tournament on at the end of next year, which would be very cool. Interesting. So a no lander from my opponent. Batterskull. I'm just going to go with a Verdant here pass. So either my opponent's a combo deck, like Dredge, or... probably not Dredge. They probably just keep a bad 7 to see if they can just actually do something in their discard phase. But a Taker kind of gives that away, that it's not. Oh, Mark, that's sick. I've heard it's very cold, especially compared to Australia. Swords, interesting. I'm going to hold up Swords, and then I'm going to hold up Scryb Ranger here. Did you drive around much, Mark? Because I've heard a few things about the cold on the streets as well. And I'm not too sure if I'm actually able to drive around. Alright, let's do some fetching. I'm just going to get a forest and a... probably just a Scrubland. It doesn't work well with the Scryb Ranger, but I'm not too unhappy about that. I could get a Bayou if I wanted 2 cards to play with Scryb Ranger, but we'll just go for Scrubland here. Dryad Arbor. Fun. I'm just going to get some beats going. Holding up Qasali here and Swords to Plowshares. Oh, you didn't drive at all? Okay, interesting. Did you go there just for holiday? I'm going to assume the Tiger's a fair deck. Maybe something like Naya Loam. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Seething Song. Don't you have it? Don't you have it? Don't you have it? Haha. Classic. I don't think we can do anything. Charbelcher. Yeah, because even if I like destroy it in response, it doesn't do anything, and I assume that Tager is the only land in their deck, so we're going to be taking a heap here. There is nothing I can do, right? Sword myself? I guess I could sword myself, but I don't think it's going to actually do anything, because I'm going to assume they're going to be dealing a lot of damage to me here. Yeah, neg 33. Alright. So Thoughtseize seems pretty great in this matchup. I like Thoughtseize. Collector Ouphe is really nice, especially hitting Lotus Petals and Charbelcher. Prelate for 4 is pretty nice. Surgical's interesting, I'm not too sure. We'll put that in the maybe pile. I think these other cards are most likely just too slow. The Swords to Plowshares can definitely come out. Batterskull can come out. Interesting. If they go for an Empty the Warrens, then the Stoneforge into Batterskull plan is actually pretty good. The Decays can most likely come out. Scavenging Ooze, probably. Like, hitting a Rider Flame isn't something that I really think we can do. Yeah, Batterskull seems really good, especially as an out to just an early spiel of creatures. Yeah, so Empty's kind of nice because we do have the Plague Engineers to get rid of the goblins. I could see myself like even dropping a Wasteland and going down like that. Like this seems fine. Gaddock Teeg is also very good as well. I think I'm happy just with this. Yes, that is 100% correct, Alex. I'll give you that. I will definitely take the play. This hand's not too bad. So a turn 2 Green Sun Zenith for Gaddock Teeg is really nice. Or we also have the Stoneforge Mystic for an early. Come on. Yeah, so Green Suns for Gaddock Teeg answers anything after turn 1, and Stoneforge Mystic answers Empty the Warren's really nice. So I'm going to keep this. We don't have a turn 1 Thoughtseize, which I think is probably the best start for this deck, but I'm pretty happy just going Nurturing Peatland into Noble Hierarch here. Our opponent's also kept 7, which is kind of scary. Land Grant, okay. I guess we just 6 here, right? If they have the Belcher, they have the Belcher. Burning Wish. Okay, that's fine. That's not too bad. We're in danger? Yeah, we're definitely in danger, but... oh, Echoes of Eons. Okay, well that's definitely a reason not to keep this hand. Oh, they even had the Charbelcher in hand. Interesting. We still... Oh, this hand's actually really bad. I didn't think about Echo. Our hand is trash. Even an empty here, I don't think we can come back from. 16? 18? Yeah. Not even Jitte is going to do it, so a hard-earned loss there, which is pretty rough. So we can actually update our score as well. So there goes the 5-0. Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's above 16 is what beats Batterskull. Because we take 15 and then we, yeah. Maybe it's even above 15. But it's, yeah. Pretty tough. I mean, I guess I could try to mulligan for something like a early Thoughtseize, but I thought that hand was pretty fine if they don't go off turn 1. But they did. But that's Belcher sometimes. Belcher, luckily not a card that we have at our local FNM Legacy, which is nice. I'm not sure if any of you guys have played against it. Did we take a draw before conceding for Engineer? We did. We did. Engineer is a pretty great out, Alex. Actually, no, because we would have to fetch, I believe. It's tough because we're at 19 with the Peatland. I guess we can play a Birds of Paradise, take 18 and go down to 1, but then we have to draw into that. But then we can't fetch either, and all our lands are fetches or Peatland. Hey, Greed86, thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? I'm not sure if Plague Engineer was an actual out, because I think our mana base would have dealt us the extra 1 or 2 that kills us to be able to cast it. Because I think our hand was just fetches and... Yeah, fetches and Peatland. I mean, if we drew a basic or a dual, we could have maybe cast Sylvan Library to get an extra look as well. Hey, Boyd, welcome to the stream. We are currently up a match against Black Green Depths and down against Goblin Charbelcher, which is pretty rough. And this hand's sweet. Pretty easy to go for a turn 1 mana dork straight up. And then have something for the fair decks in Plague Engineer and unfair decks in Thalia, which is nice. I can actually make that chat way bigger. There we go. Nice. Alright. Opponent down to 5. Just don't Chrome Mox me. The last thing I want to see is Chrome Mox right now. I think I'm even happy just using this fetch land for a Savannah if we don't draw into a 1-mana spell. Misty, okay. So what's most likely a... Ah, okay. Death Shadow. Playing Engineer pretty good against Death Shadow. Not because of its static ability of neg 1, neg 1, but mainly because of its ability of Death Touch. Which is kind of nice. However, something like a Thoughtseize here would be pretty brutal. Death Shadow, a pretty cool deck. Death Shadow, a deck that won the Legacy Challenge, I'm going to say 2 weekends ago. Which is very cool. It was a deck that that did really well at the PT a few years back. Even beating Death and Taxes, which seems like a horrible matchup. And it's a Thoughtseize, okay. There's a really... there's a pretty funny turn where the D&T's opponent cast 3 Dazes in response to his Batterskull. I'm definitely Wastelanding here. Blue-Black Shadow probably plays 18 lands, and a mull to 4 most likely means they don't have another one, which is really nice. So we're going to be able to play around Days here. I'm just going to play the Bayou and play out this Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. I could have actually played this the fetch land, got a Savannah, and done the same thing, so that if we drew into a Wasteland next turn, we could play both the Thalia and Wasteland, which would have been really nice. Oh, reanimate on Plague Engineer. Interesting, that's pretty cool. I assume human? Okay, soldier, interesting. Interesting to name soldier and not human. Batterskull. Do I want a Green Suns? I think I'm happy just actually passing here. And Green Sunnings for Knight of the Reliquary the following turn. Yeah, human also hits things like Noble Hierarch, Knight of the Reliquary if it's relevant. Delver, okay. Just gonna 6 here. Definitely no blocks. Sylvan Library, okay. So I kind of want to play around Days. I think Green Suns for 4, or Green Suns for 3, getting Dazed is pretty brutal. So I'm actually happy just playing Sylvan Library here and attacking with Dryad Arbor. There's definitely some merit to not attacking, because you don't want your opponent on Death Shadow to actually have a bigger Death Shadow, but I feel like getting them down to 8 is pretty much the same as 9. Yeah, I can definitely feel the days coming as well. I'd love to be able to play around it somehow. So this Brainstorm will definitely flip the Delver. We can get Scryb Ranger defensively with Green Suns that blocks the Dryad Arbor for a long time, but there's a daze for sure. This is gonna be fine. Definitely using a life as a bit of a resource right here. Windswept Heath. Ugh. Okay, we'll put back. Put on top, put on top. We'll draw the fetch land. Get a Savannah. Green Suns. They have mulled heavily. But something like Force here would be pretty brutal. No, okay. So still, let's go for Nut of the Reliquary. We can attack. This Dryad Arbor is definitely not blocking. Maybe I want to hold the Dryad Arbor back. Maybe I don't want to take them down too low, just so that an actual Death Shadow itself can be pretty game-breaking. I think I'm happy taking this. And maybe even leaving back the Death Shadow, sorry, the Dryad Arbor for something like an equipment swing. Decay is a very nice draw. And Scryb Ranger, okay. And Wasteland. I kind of want to keep all of this. Do we go down to 3? I think we pay 4 here. I think we pay 4 because we can decay the Plague Engineer, play Thalia, and then hold up Scryb Ranger. And Abrupt Decay, sorry, Scryb Ranger with Dryad Arbor is just going to be pretty nice as a blocker for Death Shadow that can just be returned before damage. So I'm actually going to pay 4, bottom this. Play a land. Can we actually just win here? Four, 5, 6, 7. Ah, so close. Because we can attack with the Knight for 4. Fetch to 5, before damage untap it with Scryb Ranger, and even like Wasteland ourselves, but that's not enough. Just go for a Bayou. We're definitely dealing with the Plague Engineer. Now we cast the Thalia. I can make an 8/8. Now we can cast Scryb Ranger. Around days. I can even Wasteland them here because we get to... Yeah, I'm pretty happy Wastelanding. Just getting rid of the second Bayou. And now we have a few creatures on duties, which is nice. And even if they attack with the Death Shadow... Ooh, I guess Snuff Out does it, I believe. If they have a land and Snuff Out, they can kill the Scryb Ranger. Snuff Out's not a card I played around. Snuff Out is free if they control a swamp. I believe that's the only card. Swamp. So they could pay 1 for it and 4 life to kill the Scryb Ranger and attack in the air, which is pretty rough. But luckily we got there. So I like Palace Jailer. I like Council's Judgment. I like Parts. I think a Thalia can go out on the draw. We can definitely drop Gaddock Teeg and Qasali Pridemage. Batterskull's fine. Engineer's fine as a removal spell. I do like Choke. I'm just trying to figure out what is worse. I think because this isn't much of a Jitte matchup, I'm actually happy dropping the Stoneforges and just holding onto the equipment and Sylvan Library to find them. Maybe even the Batterskull isn't that relevant. I might just like go 2 Chokes here. I still like having these 2 to kind of fight the Delver fight. So this is kind of nice. I'm gonna see how this goes, and then we can have a better look at the sideboard once if we go to game 3. This hand's fine, even if they thought seize us and maybe take something like Green Suns or Birds. We do have a pretty good way of just getting out some early threats, so happy to keep this. It doesn't have straight removal in Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile, but for now I'm pretty happy with this. The more I watch these matches, the more I want a Maverick hat for myself. Yeah, pretty happy with this little bad boy. Fetch. Alright. Honda. Okay, not too bad. So I'm definitely casting the Birds of Paradise over Green Suns into a Daze. Or what could be a Daze. I'm much happier to just run into... yeah, Daze with the Birds. I might even just go for a basic here. I don't want to get Wastelanded out of the game. And if they do something like Daze and then Wasteland or remove my bird in Wasteland, we're definitely far behind. So bird here for Forest is pretty fine. I think getting Wastelanded out is probably the way we lose this game. Scryb Ranger, nice. I'm gonna pass. See if the Delver flips. It doesn't flip. Okay, so this is the one reason why I didn't want to play the Scryb Ranger, was to see if they actually attack into an open Scryb Ranger. If they have Daze, they have Daze. If they have a removal spell, they have a removal spell. Snuff Out, okay. That's gonna be fine. Cradle's rough. I guess we could Green Suns for Dryad Arbor and then Cradle out either Scooz or Jitte. We are then giving up a white source, which this Green Suns could be Bird or it could be Noble Hierarch. They didn't have a Daze for the Scryb Ranger, and I assume they would have used Daze over a removal spell like Snuff Out. So I'm pretty happy just kind of tapping out here for Green Suns for 1 for Dryad Arbor. And then probably playing out Screws. I don't want to get stuck with a Jitte on the field. I'd rather get stuck with at least a creature on the field. And it means that they need 2 removal spells to turn off the guy's Cradle instead of just the one. Thoughtseize, okay. So Thoughtseize taking Jitte is pretty nice for my opponent. Wasteland most likely takes care of the Cradle. It makes Screws less of a threat. I guess we just 6 here. We can't really do anything. They take a Knight. Interesting. Well, we're definitely going to try to jam this Jitte. I could jam the Jitte or jam the Knight. And I think it's the Jitte that I want to play. But because they didn't take the Jitte, I kind of feel like they have something like Fatal Push and they just want to make us tap out for the Jitte. I'm going to go for the Knight. I guess we could go for both. No, we can't. I'm going to go for Knight. And then I'm going to attack for 2. And before blocks, I'm going to eat one of my own creatures, being a Bird's Paradise. Breeding Pool, interesting. So they actually didn't have a removal spell, okay. I guess they're at 5 life, which is pretty rough. Going down to 4. Plague Engineer is fine. I don't think we have any great plays with the Knight to actually kind of help get anything through. The Wasteland's kind of nice. So I'm going to Wasteland before playing the Jitte, so even if they have Daze, they can't Daze the Breeding Pool to get a green source back. There's nothing great to eat with the Screws now, so I'm actually just going to pass back. And then maybe Wasteland their upkeep, but... Oh, this guy's a streamer? Interesting. Alright, so up against Blue, Black, Shadow. Which, you know, as a Swords of Plowshares creature-based deck, I think it's a pretty good matchup for us. There's definitely situations where it can get out of hand if they have the early hand disruption, an early Delver, even something like a Street Wraith is pretty good. I could equip the Jitte to the Ooze, but I think the Ooze was just doing a lot more as just a threat on board. I didn't really want to throw it away just into the Plague Engineer. With the Plague Engineer only naming Dryad, it wasn't really doing anything other than just being a really good roadblock. It does trade for their creatures, but I wasn't in much of a rush, especially if I had the Wasteland lock on pretty well. And we could definitely draw into something like Abrupt Decay or Mother of Runes. Even drawing into a Noble Hierarch is pretty nice because attacking with a Hierarch, we can definitely trade one counter and the Hierarch for a creature. I don't mind this music. Tune In by Joseph Jacobs. Alright. Got our match. Hopefully on the play. very big advocate of playing on the play, as any player is. But it's always nice, especially with Maverick, where it's a bit of a fair deck. You kind of need that advantage of playing first, just to make sure that a lot of your 2 mana and 3 mana spells make it to the table before you lose the game to a really quick opponent. JPA, interesting. This hand's pretty rough. So I believe JPA is pretty well known for Sneak and Show, and this hand is pretty abysmal against that matchup. It doesn't really do a whole lot either. So we have the Green Sun Zenith, but Dryad Arbor already in hand. We have Stoneforge Mystic, but we already have Batterskull, Jitte in hand. We don't have anything until turn 2, so I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. Maybe for something a little bit more aggressively. Something with like a turn 1 Noble into Thalia would be really nice. And this is actually not too bad. So the Sylvan Library is going to be a force check. The Wasteland could come in handy, so I'm pretty happy to keep this and bottom the Batterskull. And most likely just go Bayou into Noble first turn. We'll keep this and we'll bottom the Batterskull. Hey, Uromia, if I said that correctly, welcome to the stream. Thank you for following. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Hopefully a Maverick player or a Fair Magic fan. Island. Haha, okay. Playing Engineer, okay. I'm going to play Verdant and then just hopefully not get Spell Pierced on this Sylvan Library. It's really the one card that I'm really hoping for to resolve, but even a Force of Will is pretty bad here. It's going to stick, okay. Ponder first, not too bad. I think what I was really sort of scared of there was something like Ancient Tomb and Show and Tell, but it still could happen with Lotus Petal being played there. You're from Germany, just started with Legacy and looking for a deck. Very cool. Playing the Cydia Traders. Interesting. I'm definitely going to fetch out the Savannah so I don't draw it, but I should have actually kept the fetch there in case there was 3 cards on top that I just didn't want. I could have taken 1 and then fetched, so in hindsight there, fetching after Sylvan Library is a lot better. Knight's pretty strong. And this is a great reason. So now we have to really get this Knight down so that we can shuffle in our upkeep. I'm actually going to pay for the... The funny thing is, if we pay once with the Sylvan Library, we're within Emrakul range. So I kind of just want to put on top. I guess if they're attacking with an Emrakul, we're pretty stuffed anyway. So I'm going to Wasteland first. They might have like Intuition here. That'd be kind of cool. They don't. Okay. And floating no mana. So let's see if we can land this Knight. The Sylvan Library checked, which was nice. Oh, Days? Rough. I did not think of Days. Easily played around with the Wasteland as well, which is pretty rough. Okay, Qasali's not too bad, but still not the greatest. Put on top. Land. We'll keep up swords. Or can we? I guess we can with Noble if we don't attack this turn. But I kind of want to attack. Yeah, definitely. I think they're definitely winning the matchup if we're letting them attack with a spaghetti monster. I could go up to the mana there, but I'm pretty happy just trying to see if I can hit something a little bit better. The triple ponder is really scary as well, because it means they're just sculpting their hand in a way that they're most likely going to go off once they cast something like Sneak or Petal. Both of these are pretty bad. I guess we just put in Mum. Pretty rough. Palace Jail is great. Prelate's great. Choke is great. I don't mind Collector Ouphe. I don't mind actually pretty much taking out the Stoneforge Mystic package here, other than sort of Fire and Ice. Swords can definitely go down as well. I'm never a big fan of the Stoneforge package in this matchup. Thoughtseize is great. We didn't see Intuition, so I'm not too big on bringing in Surgical. I think Decays are pretty dead. And that seems pretty good. I don't mind Scavenging Ooze, because if they're going to do something like Pyroclasm the board, then we do have a threat that can kind of take advantage of that. Snap's also interesting. Sorry, Council's Judgment is also interesting. Maybe it's better than the like one Mum. The issue is we're kind of in a position where we want to land a threat like Teeg or Prelate and then just keep it alive. So maybe the Mums are actually pretty good. Yeah, maybe it's the Screws that goes and the Mum that sticks. I'm pretty happy to go back with this and see how it goes. Sneak is definitely a pretty rough matchup. We don't have the tools like Death and Taxes does, but this hand is pretty close to just, I'm going to keep this. We have the Green Suns, which is really nice. Knight's pretty good outside of a start with... yeah, Knight's just great. This means we also have Green Suns for Teeg if we want it. Oh, Engineer could have definitely come out. That's 100%. Oof. Okay, that's not too bad. We can luckily put this Emrakul back in their hand. We can even do some pretty cool things like... They're gonna force that, that's fine. I think we let them have this until later on, unless they play Stifle. I think I'm pretty happy to get rid of that. Stifle would be pretty bad. And now just hope the hand isn't like Show and Tell, Sneak Attack, Lotus Petal. Okay. So they obviously went for it thinking we had it. So yeah, let's take out the Plague Engineers. Maybe a sword isn't the worst. Decay can be really aggressive on their Lotus Petals, but that's not great. Yeah, parts of a Plows is interesting. I mean, Path on Gazulbrain's a lot better than Sword. So maybe it's like a 2-2 split. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't mind the Surgical Plan, especially with the Thoughtseizes in the deck. So maybe I just want to take out all the swords and just hold on to the Paths as any sort of removal. Let's go with this and see how it performs. Hey, Hype, that's pretty good as well. I like fetching for Dryad Arbor. Unless they're on the Pyroclasm or Kozilek's return plan, because then losing a land as well to a sweeper is pretty rough. But you know, there's also something nice about early mana that also early mana progression that also deals damage to your opponent over time. I'm just going to quickly go to the bathroom. I'll be back in 1 sec. This hand is interesting. This hand is interesting. I really like this hand. I'll go back to the main stream. This hand is sweet. So we have a turn 1 Thoughtseize with Surgical is pretty good. And then also the turn 2 Thalia. They probably still have Daze, but I don't really mind about that. I think just jamming Thoughtseize here is fine. So we'll go for a Verdant. So we'll go for a Bayou. Maybe I'll go for a Scrubland just so I can get a... They could have brought in Blood Moon, so maybe I actually want to go for a Scrubland here and then get a basic forest with this Verdant. I guess we'll see. Interesting. I guess I can take Emrakul and then Surgical it with the trigger on the stack. They most likely have something like... I guess we have Palace Jailer as an answer, so I don't really care about it right now. I also have the option of taking Brainstorm and then Surgicaling Ponder to get a pretty much another Thoughtseize off this Surgical. It does take away Omni Kills. Unless they play the Cunning Wish version, but... Definitely take this one. Let's see what they have. So 2 Pyroclasm is in there. Sorcerer's Spyglass, interesting. Grizzlebrand. Arcane Artisan, okay. Alright. So we know about a Ponder. I should have checked. I wanted to shuffle there anyway, but... There it is. They chose not to shuffle, okay. So I reckon they had Show and Tell on top, most likely. And the Brainstorm kind of gives away that they, like what we know, they could definitely shuffle things back, so kind of back to a clean slate here. Oh, Thoughtseize. That's pretty nice. Let's see what they do with the Ponder. Chose not to shuffle. I think I'm happy going land, Thoughtseize, birds. Hey, Debinder, welcome. Hey, Ari, welcome to the stream. So it's an interesting one. We have Thalia, or we have birds and Thoughtseize. I don't mind Thoughtseize. Double Grizzle, interesting. I think we definitely take one here. And then we try to get either Knight or Palace Jailer down on the other, with, of course, Karakas back up. It's the second Grizzlebrand that I can't play around anyway. Oof. So we know... This is value. There's probably a world there where you actually want to play Knight, just so you have instant speed removal up in Karakas. But once they hit multiple red sources, it's definitely worse to try to Karakas something through sneak attack, because they can just put it back into play. But with Emrakul out of the picture, it doesn't really matter, because you can allow them to attack and then just return it to hand. Pyroclasm, okay. So this will be an interesting one. If I draw a land, do I want to go Knight or Thalia? Thalia playing around days, Knight probably being the better play. This is definitely a tough one. They definitely kept a force. They could have also kept a days for what we know. I guess they can't play a sneak attack and a Lotus Petal with Thalia out unless they have another City of Traders. So I guess here we just have to go for Thalia. Interesting. What you got? Echoing Truth. Rough. I guess we have to slam another Knight here. Sylvan Library allows us to dig for Karakas, but I think we just have to play a Knight. Our opponent also gets the Monarch. That's pretty rough. Yeah, but I guess we did as well. Like we had a pretty good start with the Thoughtseizers, and then also the Surgical, and then also having the Knights when we need them. I actually didn't see Echoing Truth in the deck, so maybe they have another one. Oof, that's pretty good. I wonder if this goes after Karakas or Knight, because I don't know if we have something like Mazavith in the deck. I guess we do have Swords to Plowshares and Path still in the deck, which isn't the worst, but... I mean, another Exalted creature wouldn't be the worst either. We'd be able to attack... Oh, we wouldn't. It's only a 4/4. The Knight is only a 4/4. So maybe it actually comes back to that Palace Jailer turn where we should have actually gone for just playing the Knight. I mean, the Grizzlebrand at instant speed... Sorry, at sorcery speed isn't that great. It does mean we get to draw extra cards, but still. Okay. Nothing. That is just dead. Nice. So I believe that's it. I think we went, yeah. Oh, we have one more game. Okay. Rough. But yeah, that's just Sneak and Show sometimes. We don't have the kind of utility of Death and Taxes to really tie them down, but you know, even there with multiple Thought Seizers and Surgical on Emrakul, it was just a little bit too strong. That Pyroclasm was really nice because it took care of the Jailer as a threat, but also Birds of Paradise, which made us more susceptible to Daze. But that is Magic sometimes. You take the losses with the wins. On the play against Giancarlo Belosh. This hand's fine. It's a very Death and Taxes start of Mum into Thalia, Wasteland, Jitte, so I'm going to keep it. It seems great against a lot of decks. The Batterskull's a little bit dead for now, but hopefully later on it doesn't, does a little bit more. Swords. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like maybe a Miracles build. So the Thalia here is going to be really nice. I was going to say I'll just fetch for a forest, but I think we just slam the Thalia here. Oh. Yeah, exactly. As a 6, it's pretty good. It's definitely a little bit rough drawing 2 equipment, meaning that the Stoneforges aren't that great, but they do get to put in a early Batterskull, which isn't too bad. Ah, blue-red Stoneblade. Very nice. Batterskull's pretty good. Knight. Okay, so I just like slamming Knight here, especially when they're tapped out. It also means that next turn with Gaia's Cradle, we definitely can attack him with Jitte, which is nice, and we can actually kill the Germ token because we can deal first strike with Thalia and then give the Germ -2/-2 before normal damage occurs. So it looks like that is going to hold up, which is more than fine. I'm going to play the Bayou. Yeah, very cool interaction. So what we can do here is float green green. We can sack the Bayou. I guess we don't have to get a Cradle. I could just get another basic here, which I don't mind. It plays around back to basics a little bit better. And the Cradle can definitely come down the following turn. That's if this resolves, of course. Force a negation. Okay. No great attacks now, of course. So we'll just go back to their turn. If I really wanted to, I could block with Thalia here, just a loser, so next turn we can cast Batterskull and also have 9 up, but I'm happy just to take the 4 here. Because I think Thalia's definitely got her role in this matchup. Oh, Green Suns. I kind of like keeping Green Suns around for now. Batterskull here doesn't play around Spell Pierce with Gaia's Cradle because we only have 1 floating. But I still don't mind just getting Batterskull down. Brainstorm's fine. Force. Okay. Alright. I can't do much here either. But at least this means the Green Suns is most likely going to come down and do some damage, which is nice. This is fine. Sword's taking out the Knight, okay. I don't mind just going after the Batterskull here with Qasali Pridemage while they're tapped out, and then attacking in with the Thalia. Oh yeah, that's fair enough. I could have got the extra 1. Ooh, Stoneforge, rough. I guess now if they get Jitte, I've got to hold back the Thalia with First Strike. Alright. Peatland's fine. I'm gonna tap the Wasteland. Classic. I'm just gonna pass back. I could attack in for 2, then play another one, but happy just to have the cards in hand for now. A little bit rough, but I mean that's what you get for playing a deck that doesn't have any real manipulation. Still pretty happy just to see what happens here and allow them to put in the Jitte. Thalia shouldn't be legendary. Pretty sure they printed Glow Rider, so that's if you want to play a non-legendary Thalia, you can play Glow Rider. You can play Vryn Wingmere. The rough thing is as well, I can't cast these Thalias at instant speed, of course. Mum, okay, that's not too bad. So let's just pass back for now. If they brainstorm, I can use a Wasteland on the Flooded Strand just to take them off the shuffle effect, but other than that, it's pretty bad. Hey, Bonds87, thank you very much for the raid. Let me know what you're playing. If you're playing Magic, what format. To all of those that have come in from Bonds87's channel, my name is Dukes on Twitch. I stream Legacy Maverick. I have a website called thegreensonzenith.com. We're currently 2-2, going down to Sneak and Show. Going down to Sneak and Show and also going down to Knight's pretty nice there. I kind of want to keep my non-basics up to play around something like back to basics in the main deck, so happy just to cast the Knight here and pass back. You're playing Legacy? What were you playing in Legacy? Yeah, we've played against, we got up against Blue-Black Shadow. We got up against Green-Black Depths. We went down to Belcher, and we went down to Sneak and Show. Oh, you're the Death Shadow guy. Very cool. Very unlucky with your opening. I mean, going down to 4 is pretty tough. Yeah, that was, yeah. I think we got pretty lucky with our draws on that one. This could be like a main deck Council's Judgment if they're tapping 4 mana. It's definitely an interesting one. Ah, thank you. I mean, it was definitely the hey, Snapkeep Gaming. It was definitely the cards that did the work. But yeah, I definitely like Blue-Black Shadow. I know it won the challenge recently, which is very cool because before then it wasn't getting sort of the limelight that it deserves. Swords is pretty rough, but still holding down. I'd love to draw into an equipment or something. Okay, Green Suns. I guess we can Green Suns for another creature. There's nothing too broken to get. Scryb Rangers, I guess just another Knight here is actually fine. 2, 3, 4, 5. What did you play with green black? Sorry, with Blue-Black Shadow. And how'd you go in your league? Thalia's Stoppy seems sweet. Is it like a Soldiers deck? I've definitely seen multiple Soldiers deck do pretty well. Playing sort of Chromox, all the cards like Suppression Field. Suppression Field's pretty funny. You went 3-2 and then 0-3 in the second. Yeah, Death Shadow's a I have Death Shadow in paper. And it's a pretty fun deck to play because there's so many lines, and it's always rough against the Delver decks or aggressive decks where you're not too sure how all in you should go, how early on with sort of the life loss ability of the deck. So a funny interaction here is that if they get rid of our Thalia as a first striker and try to attack, to not give them Jitte counters, we can actually fetch up a Dryad Arbor and then Wasteland it before damage if we block with it. But here I'm actually pretty happy just to go on sort of a beatdown strategy with Knight because we're not doing much else. And Knight in this matchup is a little bit worse because they don't have many non-basics so we can actually target with Wasteland, so happy just to go for Dryad Arbor here. Get that extra point of damage in. The Ren and 6 ban is interesting. It definitely opened up a lot more decks, which is nice, which I really like. So a lot of sort of X1 creatures have come out of the format to and come to play, which is really cool. I think it's great for the format. I think it was probably being held back a little bit too long. This is fine. We can't do anything, so let's just allow it. Knight. Okay, let's go for... Oh! Let's go for Thalia first, so the Knight can't be countered. Yeah, 100%. I think it was a pretty good banning. I actually did a article on it and put it on the Green Sun Zenith. So I talked to Goblin Lucky 1, who's a big Goblins player, John Hamilton, who's a big D&T player, also Dan Neely as well, who's a big Maverick player, which is cool. Rough, another swords. It's rough as well because they're not... Oh, didn't mean to close all that. Can I get them back? Yeah, nice. It's rougher than going after my Thalias because I really want to play this extra Thalia that I have in my hand. Noble, okay. The beats begin. I guess we're not playing around Snapcaster Mage end step into Jitte attack, but at this point, I really just want to start cracking in for damages, especially seeing I have a 3-turn clock. Jace is pretty good. They're going for a Brainstorm, so I'm pretty happy to actually just Wasteland this Prismatic Vista so they don't get the shuffle effect off it. The Wasteland's not doing much else. Oko is pretty annoying to play against, especially as a fair creature deck. I have a lot of creatures where, like, my current board state right now does nothing against Oko, where they're ticking it up and I'm just kind of attacking it. It never feels great, but I'm not sure if it's if it's really that broken. We'll definitely attack the Jace here because we have Exalted, so we can actually try to kill it. And even if they swords the Thalia, we have another one, which is nice. There's probably no reason to even play the birds here, so I'm just going to pass back. Yeah, it is really oppressive for FedEx. The fetch is interesting, either not wanting to draw cards or playing something like an end-step snap, which would be pretty good. Okay, no end-step snap, that's always nice. I think this matchup definitely heavily relies on True Name Nemesis, and they haven't seen it yet. So that's a big reason why we're still in it. But if they do get down an early True Name Nemesis and get some equipment on it, it can be very rough to come back from. Especially game 1, where we currently only have the out of Qasali Pridemage on removal on our equipment. I guess we do have Abrupt Decay, but it is something we can't, you know, green suns for, or I think it definitely relies pretty heavily on True Name. It's a little bit like Green Black Depths. You do have your Snapcaster Mages and Stoneforge Mystics, like you have your Hex Mages and other creatures, but you really rely on that one threat to really put pressure on your opponent. Catacombs. Alright. Play Thalia. I guess we can even swing in for one here. Oh, Spell Snare? Spell Snare is pretty good. Spell Snare is pretty good. I guess we might as well attack here. Because we're definitely not blocking. This might even be where our opponent turns it around. Because an online Jitte is nothing to froth at. I mean, we do have, you know, Plague Engineers, Abrupt Decays, a lot of really good draws that are left in the deck. Jitte can definitely run away with the game from here, especially if he starts just aggressively removing my creatures, but I think it's going to take a little bit more, and a Jace here is pretty much game. They are at 6, but any big creature that I land, like another the Reliquary, they can just bounce. So the Jace doesn't have to be the wink on here, it can just be the Snapcaster. This is where I really want Questing Beast in the deck. So here, I guess we can try to fetch up Knight. Have I? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, okay. Yeah, we'll concede this game. I think the game definitely gets a lot better post-board because we have the Chokes, we have the Thoughtseizers. I don't mind Prelate for 4 because it turns off Supreme Verdict and Jace, which is really nice. Council Judgment is great. I usually go down on Swords to Plowshares because with True Name being the main creature that's attacking, I really just want to have, you know, the Plague Engineers and your Council's Judgment as answers. Hey, Remix, a huge thank you. I saw you were playing Pioneer tonight, I believe, which is very cool. Hey, a small raid is still a raid, so a huge thank you. I can definitely drop down on a Wasteland because they are on a pretty basic, heavy build. 2 more. I don't think I really want to race too fast for my equipment, which is nice. I could even see myself going down on some number of Mana Dorks. However, on the play, being able to cast a turn 2 Choke is pretty nice. 3-2 with Bedlam Power. Is that like a mono red deck? Powerless Jail is interesting because True Name Nemesis is of course a great way to steal the Monarch, but with Plague Engineers and Council's Judgment, I kind of hope that we have enough, especially with Choke as well, hitting them on mana, we have enough to kind of not worry about it. Ooze can probably come out. It does interact with Snapcaster Mage, but that's really it. I don't think they're going to be playing the new Monastery land. So I'm just going to cut there. Hey, Nishina. Thank you very much for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Yeah, maybe it's not much of a Stoneforge deck that I really care about. It's really just having these two in the deck that I can actually farm with Sylvan Library. So I'm pretty happy to actually drop the Stoneforge Mystic package. As good as it might be against some of their fairer creatures like Stoneforge and Snapcaster Mage, it's really True Name that I'm scared of. And this hand's pretty nice. I'm going to keep this. Pretty happy just to go Savannah into Noble Hierarch, and then turn 2 we either have Thalia and Noble or Choke. So a pretty nice way to start this game. Yeah, I really like turn 2 Thalia as well. Unless they hold up a mana, most likely for Spell Snare, but I don't think I really mind. I think I'd rather see them tap out a little bit for choke, because if they brought in most likely something like Disenchant, I don't want them just to play fetch Disenchant, so I'm going to go ahead with Thalia first. I guess we'll play a land, just to, in case they play Daze. Most likely not, and most likely not on the draw, but it's probably worth having. And now I'm happy just playing the second Hierarch off a basic Forest. Are you from Austria? You play Ninjas, Sultai Nickfit, and Elves. Ninjas is a very, very sweet deck. Looks like a lot of fun to play. So Swords on Thalia is fine. I'm happy to untap and cast this choke. Yeah. Sadly, we can't play Thalia and then choke, but I'm happy to just go choke first and then Thalia. Even if this is a Force of Will check and 2-for-1's my opponent, I'm pretty happy. But another Thalia here is going to be really nice. Just really constraining their mana. And even if they find another blue source to tap for a second mana for no other source to Plowshares, the choke's just putting them back so much. Windswept. I'm going to draw a card first. That is fine. Our opponent missed a land drop as well, which is pretty huge. Are we playing Ninjas at Magic Fest Bologna? Very cool. I do feel bad for some of the players that had a Ren and 6 deck and now, of course, have to kind of adapt with the GP only 9 days away, but, you know, it kind of had to happen. So it looks like my opponent's missed another land drop. Most likely with a hand of something like, yeah, cantrips. I can actually cast this sort of Fire and Ice, which is pretty nice. So I think this is definitely game. Unless they have the Force. It's still for a turn, which is pretty rough. And to be fair, if you're already at 7 cards and you're discarding each turn, a Force of Will isn't that bad because it's more or less a 1-for-1. Yeah, it's fair. They could have a Tundra as well. So we're just gonna 6 here. He's trying to remember an old card. I think it was either red or black. Very old school card. Something to do with a tug. Creature gets +X/+0, where X is the amount of life you sacrifice. I remember that was turn 1 win card back in the day, but can't remember its name. Are we talking... Green Suns. I think we just get Knight here. Hatred. There we go. Jack's on it. I believe that card is Hatred. So if we go... That should be your card. We actually have lethal next turn because we can Wasteland our own land to make the Knight at 8/8 and then attack in for 10 with Exalted. Which is kind of cool. Alright, going into game 3. Pretty happy just to run this back. I could be aggressive with Surgical, but I don't think that's worth it. I think the Thought Seizers are really nice by themselves. Collector Ouphe is always interesting, but I don't think it's worth it because it does turn off our own equipment, and I think if we want to be the aggressor and the beatdown, then we definitely want our equipment online. Hey, thank you very much. Hopefully see you in a few weeks at Magic Fest Brisbane. We'll definitely have that beer. Very cool. Very cool. Alright, have a good week, man. Palace Jail is interesting on the draw as well, but I don't mind it. Love the Rubik's presents. Alright. Yeah, so Magic Fest Brisbane is pretty nice because enough people put out the feelers for Channel Fireball to organize a top 8 Legacy event on the Friday. This hand's sweet, we'll keep this. So that was really cool. Yeah, looking forward to that. And then of course there's also a top 8 Highlander event on the Sunday. Small thing I think you're doing is if you go for equipment and need some more mana for both cast and equip, you can first fetch Knight for the additional mana instead of having to cast it. It's very cool, yeah. So knowing full information before you fetch with Knight. That is, yeah. That's a great point, Alex. And yeah, especially if it doesn't resolve, then you might want to use Knight for something else other than just mana. Hey, Turtle MTG, welcome into the stream. Is that a turtle? Is that like a... No, it's a dove, right? Apologies. Yeah, Turtle, let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Hey, Game Lens, thank you very much for the follow. Again, let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Here I'm happy to go for Thoughtseize first. Especially if we're hitting something like a Stoneforge Mystic. Hey, the follow train is happening. K1 RN Rural, thank you very much for the follow. You know the drill, let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? No, Legacy, mostly standard player from Tampa, FL, currently living in Japan. Oh, very cool. I went to GP Shizuoka last year for the Legacy GP. And had 2 weeks there with my girlfriend, which is really nice. Beautiful country. Lovely people. Want to go back so bad. How do you like living in Japan? And do you get to play much Magic? Green Suns. I think I'm happy just for Mum here. And then maybe Green Suns for Gaddock Teeg next turn. Or even something else, because it does turn off the second Green Sun Zenith. We'll see what happens here. 3 islands. Interesting. Back to Basics is actually fine. We can play around it pretty well. I think, during the forest as well. I think just Green Suns here for Teeg is fine. Turning off Jason, Supreme Verdict, Force of Will as well. And then we still have the Council's Judgment for any sort of threat that comes down, like True Name, or even something like Stoneforge Mystic. Tundra, interesting. Stoneforge is fine. I think the Mum's going to do a lot of work here to keep these equipments at bay. From Finland, play Black Red Goblins, loving the Ren 6 band currently. Oh, a huge appreciation for any Goblin player in Legacy. I know it's a bit of an uphill battle, especially with Ren in the format, but very cool. Yeah, to hear. What's Legacy like in Finland? We can actually attack here with the Gaddock Teeg. I probably don't want to be that aggressive. In case they have like a throwaway. It doesn't really matter. I think the attack there with Gaddock Teeg is actually correct. There's not much they can do to get rid of it, even with the Mum. Verdant. What do I want to do here? I guess it's I can go and get Karakas to actually return this Gaddock Teeg, and then use Green Suns again, but the Karakas can only be used once with the Back to Basics in play. So I think I'm happy just passing here. Wait for the Batterskull to come down, and then we can Council Judgment it away. If they allow me, they can actually return it to hand and allow us just to take care of the Stoneforge or something else, but the Jitte here isn't going to do much either. Second time here, 3 years at a time. Family loves that I can't play much paper Magic as I did in the States, but the timing for Arena has been good for that. Yeah, 100%. Arena's been really nice for that. No equip. Interesting. Let's just go for, sack the Bayou. Get a fetch. Fetch up a Scrubland so we have access to black. And then I'm pretty happy just fetching for Dryad Arbor. Although the back to basics is a little bit annoying. I'm just going to go for the second forest. Wasteland. Not the greatest. Verdant. Judgment. Gonna get rid of the Stoneforge. Actually, no. I'm gonna get rid of the Jitte. Because the Stoneforge by itself is not a threat. And if they draw into something like True Name, then the Jitte is a really big play. We have 10 more players near the capital. Pioneer pulls more players already because of card availability. Yeah, I think one of the biggest barriers to entry for Legacy is the card availability. It's nice in Brisbane. We have a few players who have lender decks, including myself. So we definitely have the decks, but sometimes the player base just isn't there, especially with Pioneer coming into the sort of realm as well. You've got a lot of players wanting to play Pioneer over playing Pioneer over Legacy. So we went 3-2, which isn't too bad, going down to Belcher and Blue-Red Sneak and Show, going up against Blue-White Stoneblade, Blue-Black Shadow, and Green-Black Depths. In hindsight, I think the Plague Engineers can most likely be moved to the board for something like Palace Jailer and Prelate. Just to have them in the deck's really nice. They, of course, can't be something that's fetched by Green Sun Zenith, but let me quickly open this up. All right. So Prelate's really nice in the main deck because Maverick definitely has a bit of an issue against fast combo decks in Game 1, so having Prelate as kind of Thalia number 4 is really nice. And then Palace Jail is just really nice as an extra removal spell. It's pretty much a 3-for-1. And then also just being able to find it with Sylvan Library is really nice. You can also get into some situations where you know what you're drawing with the Crown because of Sylvan Library. But I think Palace Jail is going to be pretty good in this current meta outside of the True Name decks. We definitely have a lot of targets with the amount of creature decks that are most likely going to start seeing play. And against decks like Lands and Miracles, it kind of forces them to maybe play a threat out when they don't have the defenses to actually keep it on board. So playing a Mentor into Sword or Abrupt Decay, or trying to get a sort of Ambush Viper Snapcaster Mage into the mix. The sideboard felt fine. The Collector Ouphe wasn't doing too much, but I think it's going to take a few more leagues to figure out what I actually want in the board. The Thought Teasers were nice, the Chokes were nice. I might want something a little bit more for the combo decks like Sneak and Show. Maybe something to put in. I think O-Stone and Banishing Light are kind of old tech, but just something for that matchup that's going to shore it up a little bit more. Even if that is playing another Prelate or another Gaddock Teeg, I can definitely see that happening. But yeah, that is me. A huge thank you to you guys that followed. A huge thank you to everyone who came in, especially to those that came in with a raid. If you want to reach out to me on Twitter, you can find me at twitter.com/Dukes on Twitch. I also run a Legacy Maverick website called the Green Sun Zenith, which you can find here. And then also you can find all my videos on YouTube. So all my streams and all my recorded videos at YouTube/C/Dukes on Twitch. So I usually stream on Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Asks for Alex, you are more than welcome, which is now. And then usually on the weekends as well. So usually at 10 a.m. on either a Saturday or Sunday, most likely Sunday, which is pretty much 13 hours from now on a Sunday, whatever that means to you guys around the world. But that is me. I'm going to quickly see who else is playing and see if we can send some people their way. I believe I saw that Oracle was streaming, which is another Legacy streamer, which is really cool. But yeah, a huge thank you to you guys for coming out. My name is Dukes on Twitch. We'll see you next time. Until then, play hard, play fair.